cannot be ignored. For months, the central question in this investigation was simple: where is Nancy Guthrie? That was the frame. That was how this case was discussed. Where is an 84-year-old woman? Where did she go? Who has her? Tonight, that question changes. Because emerging, and I want to be precise here, unconfirmed, reports now suggest that human remains have been located. We do not yet know the identity. We do not yet have official confirmation. And until we do, we treat it as exactly what it is, an unverified development in an active investigation. But let's be disciplined here. Because what investigators know, what forensic science teaches us, is this: the discovery of remains does not just answer where. It transforms the entire architecture of the investigation. It shifts the question from search to motive. And the moment motive becomes the central question, something else comes into sharp focus. Something that has been documented, reportedly, unconfirmed, in the background of this case for some time. A loan request. A substantial loan request. Made by Annie Guthrie, Nancy's daughter, to her 84-year-old mother. And according to unconfirmed reports, Nancy said no. Now, I need you to stay disciplined with me. This is unconfirmed. But in investigative work, in real investigative work, financial conflict between a victim and a person of interest is never dismissed. It is documented, examined, and tested against the physical evidence. And tonight, we are going to do exactly that. Stay with me. Let's talk about money. Not emotionally. Clinically. Greed, in a prosecutorial framework, is not a character flaw. It is a theory.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so a new video we're checking out, right? They're saying that the body was found. All right, now I wouldn't believe that. I'm not sure. All right, I'm not going to say it was, but from what this video is saying, that there was a body found, but it is unidentifiable. So there's also new stuff they're putting out here in this video. We have no idea if this is true or not. I can't say that on this channel. You know how this channel always is. We don't know if this is true or not, but we're going to look at it. Hello, Miss Debbie Fox. All right, we're going to continue to watch this video. This is Arizona out west. Now, if you want to, here's the thing. Do I know a little lady that looks like her? Yes. All right. But it's not her. Now, whether it's her daughter or not, there's a lot of people that say her kids don't look like Nancy. I'm not sure. Like I said, this channel cannot say. But let's watch this and try and find out what is going on here. All right, Miss Debbie Fox says, I was always believed she and Tomato know exactly what happened to her 100%. Well, you know, like I said, now when I look at Mrs. Guthries, who do I see? I see one of my mods. Now, like I said, folks, I don't know if these were even her real kids. We don't know. You know, a lot of people said, well, they don't even look like Nancy, or, you know, I don't know. But we're going to get to the bottom of it. I'll tell you that much. What's your mod? Which one? You know exactly which one. Look at her. You know, I don't know. But let's get back to this video.
A theory built on documented
Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I wasn't live earlier this morning, but I woke up real early. I had to go do some stuff for some people, cut a yard and do stuff. And my God, it was so hot today and dust everywhere. Just, what a day. But I think we got control of this whole situation and everything. And, you know, a lot of people are upset at me, Debbie. A lot of people are upset because uh, my anointing, my power, the seat that I've been put in. Did I ask for it? No, 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 I didn't. But we got to figure this stuff out. And I know Debbie Fox has been watching this case for a while. You don't have a mod that looks like her. What? Yeah, one of the mods that used to be a mod here looks like her. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. We don't know. We're just trying to help. That's all. We're trying to make movies. We're trying to do a bunch of stuff on this channel. People keep getting in my way. I got to run them over. I'm not going to give up. That's why they gave me this position. They know my head is thicker than a concrete block. I only know one thing: forward. We don't retreat. If we got to retreat, we don't leave our guys behind. Was I in the military? No. I was never in the military. And if I was, I wouldn't be able to tell you that at this point. All right, now let's get back to this movie. Debbie Fox is going crazy. She wants to know. You just calm down, little lady. We had an 80-year-old mod. No. If she was 80, God dang, she looks good for 80 years old. I'll tell you that much. But no, don't worry about it. Let's get back to this video. It'll click. It'll click with Miss Debbie Fox. Did you have coffee? I'm having coffee right now, Debbie. We're going to go ahead and get to the bottom of this now. Let's watch the rest of this video.
Financial pressure, documented financial opportunity, and a documented shift in control. Consider the structure here. Nancy Guthrie's home, her primary asset, is reportedly valued at approximately $1 million. It is a high-equity property. The kind of asset that sits at the center of an estate plan. The kind of asset that means something when a person is 84 years old and living alone. Now contrast that with what we know, reportedly, about Annie's financial situation. A lower value property. A different financial position. A gap. And in investigative science, gaps matter. Because when a daughter goes to her elderly mother, a mother with a $1 million estate, and asks for a substantial loan, and that mother refuses, something changes. Let's be disciplined. A refusal is not neutral. A refusal creates tension. It creates a new dynamic. Because the request itself reveals a need. And a need that is denied does not disappear. It intensifies. It compresses. It begins to accelerate decisions. Investigators call this financial desperation as a behavioral accelerant. And then, May 2025, something was formalized. Annie Guthrie obtained durable power of attorney over her mother. Now, power of attorney is a legal instrument. It is not inherently suspicious. Millions of families.
Yo, Debbie, are you still here? Did you know that Nancy? Now, like I said, folks, we don't know if this is true, but Deb, did you know that Nancy had power of attorney, or Annie had power of attorney over Mrs. Guthrie? You did know that? See, I had no idea she had power of attorney over her. See, they didn't reveal that. We because that seems a different story now. So, and look at her arms. Can you see in this video, Debbie? Looks like she's got a massive scar on her elbow. Up by her elbow. But then you can also see where her watch is her hand looks black and blue, or her arm looks black and blue. They did a while ago. I had no idea.
Establish it responsibly. But in the context of a reported loan refusal, in the context of a missing and now potentially deceased elderly woman, prosecutors do not look at power of attorney in isolation. They look at timing. They look at what changed and what it enabled. Let's walk the timeline. Not loosely. Forensically. January 31st. A dinner. Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, hard of hearing, no hearing aids that night, no alarm system, shares a meal with her daughter and son-in-law. It is, by all appearances, an ordinary evening. And then it ends. 9:50 p.m. Nancy is driven home. The driver, Tommaso, Annie's husband. The ride, undocumented. No confirmed rideshare record. No GPS log publicly released. An undocumented transport of a vulnerable, elderly woman, alone, at night. That is a structural fact. What follows is what investigators call a silence window. 14 hours. 14 hours in which there is no confirmed contact, no check-in, no verified communication. For a woman who is 84, lives alone, and has no alarm system, 14 hours of silence is not ordinary. And then the timestamps begin. 1:40.
All right, Debbie Fox says, remember, elders get thin, skinny, bump will blacken, and skin. Oh, you mean her down by her watch and stuff? Well, I wonder if she had tendinitis, because in that one photo, it looks like she had a scar by her elbow. Now, did she fall, or did she have an operation or something like that? I'm not sure. But we had no idea that Annie had power of attorney. Power of attorney is like, you're in charge of everything. You take care of her. You do her finances. You do her bank books. You do everything. When you have power of attorney over somebody, it's almost like you don't belong to yourself no more. Someone else has power over you. And that's unbelievable, if you ask me. I'll tell you that. But is it possible? Sure. No, I don't know. I don't know. Is it someone trying to set up Annie? I don't know, maybe. But I think we found, if they're going to do a movie, I found the spitting image of Miss Nancy Guthrie. And that's what I do. I look for lookalikes. I look for people that look similar to who we're going to be doing, a movie on. I think I got the spitting image of her. Now, whether she's capable of reading and acting, I'm not sure, but she sure does look like her. But that's a whole nother movie for a different time. But let's keep going here. Debbie Fox says, why don't you say it then, geez? Yo, Epiphonium. Debbie, one of our mobs that we haven't seen in a while. Blonde hair. All right, let's keep going.
7 a.m. The exterior camera at Nancy's home goes offline. And simultaneously, or near simultaneously, a masked figure is reported to appear. A staged presence. A deliberate visual event at the precise moment the digital record is interrupted. That is not coincidence. In investigative work, coincidence is the last hypothesis, not the first. 2:28 a.m. Nancy's pacemaker disconnects. Let's be disciplined here. Because a pacemaker is not just a medical device. In this investigation, it functions as what forensic analysts call a biological timestamp. It logs. It records. It does not lie, it does not misremember, and it cannot be coached. At 2:28 a.m., Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker stopped receiving a signal. That is a structural fact. Now combine that with what we know about her physical state that night. No hearing aids. No alarm. A woman who...
Hold on a minute, folks. All right, I had to answer that phone call from Columbia. All right, let's go ahead and keep going here.
If she called out, may not have been heard, and may not have heard someone approaching. The vulnerability was total. Now let's deconstruct the narrative that was initially offered. A kidnapping. A stranger abduction of an 84-year-old woman. If you approach this emotionally, it is a terrifying possibility. But if you approach it analytically, if you ask the discipline question, it collapses. Here is the discipline question. If this was about money, why stage an abduction? The answer, the investigative answer, is misdirection. Misdirection buys time. It redirects law enforcement. It creates a public search. It transforms potential suspects into grieving family members publicly calling for help. But misdirection has a critical weakness. It requires a clean digital environment. And in 2024...
Let's back up a little bit here because I want to show you this. Where's that photo?
Here is the discipline question. If this was about money, why stage an abduction? The answer, the investigative answer, is misdirection. Misdirection buys time. It redirects law enforcement. It creates a public search. It transforms potential suspects into grieving family members.
I don't know. Could Jenna Bush, Debbie, does Jenna Bush look like Nancy Guthrie more than her own daughter? Yeah, I think Jenna the role, but I think the one I got is probably closer looking to see a younger Nancy, a younger Nancy, a 40-year-old Nancy or 30-year-old. I heard something last night about what they did with her, how it's so well hidden. Debbie, what did you hear? Let's take a break here, folks. Let's hear what Miss Fox found out for us. Epiphonium, how you doing? You got any snow out there? Because I just seen you put a video out of not even 3 weeks ago, and there was snow all over. Maybe a little, but she is definitely a Bush. I don't know. This is crazy. Jenna. There's Jenna and the whole thing. Can she play Nancy Guthrie? Maybe. I don't know. But I think the little lady I got's probably closer to looking like Nancy. And I've seen some photos of Nancy Guthrie when she was younger. Right? She was a looker when she was younger. Debbie, tell me what's going on, man. Let's hear what she said. Just a lot of rain now. Tired of the snow. Well, we had some really hot weather, and now it's supposed to cool down for a while and then get hot again, then cool down. I'm waiting for Miss Fox to fill us in on what she heard, how they were What do you mean how well she was hidden? I really need to go StreamYard so I can have these people come up and explain what they're, instead of having to type. On another channel, I heard it was Annie and Tomato, and they threw her to the coyotes because coyotes eat bones and all. You might be right. You know, JLR still saying that he's going to go back to the area where he smelt something real bad. There's a lot of people on his channel talking that she was in the storm tunnels or whatever, the septic tunnels or whatever. All right, let's see what that's how so much attention is her backyard that one day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were searching around looking, you know. But where would they have done it? And here's what I'm trying to explain to people: there is no video footage till this day still of Nancy Guthrie leaving her home and then returning. They show a car, and I'm like, that is not good enough for me and my United States people. I want footage of that young lady, Miss Guthries, walking out of her house, walking into Annie's house, and then after they're done, walking out, getting in a car, and then walking into her house. That's the only way you're going to solve that, because as of now, what do I believe? This was all made up because there's no evidence showing a little old lady leaving her house and then coming back home. There's a car. And I'm like, are you people that dumb? Anybody could have drove that car. All they had to do was pull in the driveway, stop, hit the brakes, wait a couple minutes, and drive off. Oh, we dropped her off. Look there's the car on the camera. Now, that's not good enough for me and my United States citizens. It might be for your corrupt courts, but not for my United States citizens. Let me see if Debbie said, yep. Where did she walk through the door? That's what I'm trying to ask, Deb. You know, that's what I'm trying to ask. There was a camera on the front door and on the back door. Why are we not seeing this little old lady walking around? Why aren't there any cameras inside of her walking around? This is Mrs. Little 84-year-old Mrs. Guthrie coming home. This is her in her nightgown. She's walking around getting a cup of tea, getting ready for bed in her house. Why aren't we seeing this? Yeah. It's just not good enough for my United States citizens. And I agree with Debbie. Yep. Where did she walk to? Where is the evidence? Well, right here, Mr. Kramer, there's a car. Yeah. A car, that's it. You got no one coming in, coming out, no one, you know. Well, right here on her alarm system, we got the doors open in her. Yeah, but where's the footage of her walking out to the car or walking back into the house? Right? There ain't none. And that is not good enough for me and my United States citizens. All right, let's get going. Debbie said if that camera went off of the porch guy, it would have seen her walking in and out. Exactly. Even if she was in that little corner, we would have seen what? What would we have seen, Mr. Kramer? A shadow. We would have seen a shadow of another person casted on the floor or on the walls because the camera's light went off and lit everything up. You know, the lights on the outside of the porch, the four-way, them were lit up. And what were people saying? Oh, there's a shadow on the ground of the guy walking up, you know. And everyone was like, is that the moon? And I was like, no, that's the two porch lights that are on the front of the house that you could see. And they were on. Why? Because usually 84-year-old people leave their lights on, you know, in the front of the house, especially when they're living alone. But Debbie has a good point. If the front camera caught the one guy, you know, then there must be footage from the back camera of them breaking in. There must be footage somewhere of this little lady walking out that house. All right, let's keep going with this video.
Publicly calling for help is a critical weakness. It requires a clean digital environment. And in 2024, in a world of routers that log devices, vehicles that record ignition cycles and GPS coordinates, and medical devices that timestamp biological events, there is no clean digital environment. The digital ecosystem does not cooperate with misdirection. A router inside Nancy logs which devices were near it and when. A vehicle's onboard computer logs when the engine started, where it traveled, and when it stopped.
Now, Miss Debbie Fox says most cameras nowadays have sound. That's true. Heck, there's a old lady that lives in this apartment complex. I don't know, apartment 30 something or something around her. Looks just like Nancy Guthrie walking around. I'm not joking. Now, is it her? Probably not. I don't think so. Does it look like her? Yes. You know, what are they doing? I have no idea. They're trying to set someone up or they're trying to do something. Hell, they might be trying to set me up with all the ball busting I've been doing all over this country. You know, Debbie, did you see what Putin just did in Russia? He made it law. He did you see the video I just did? Debbie says she can talk through her camera. Yeah, the lady that I work for, well, cook or ask for, and my mother's camera and everything. Yeah, they can talk through the camera. What are you doing? They scare the crap out of me all the time. They didn't tell me when they first got that camera. They didn't tell me, and I was walking around, and the lady was going, "Johnny, I'm looking all over the place." And then I heard her husband's voice. Johnny, I'm looking all over. I thought it was God. I was like, I thought they were dead and it was their spirits talking to me. I'm like, are you alive? They thought it was funny. It scared the crap out of me. I had no idea. But Debbie's right. The cameras today, you could talk through. That's true. All right, let's keep going. My question is, what are they doing? You know, I don't know. Debbie, it wasn't funny. They were playing jokes on me. They scared the crap out of me. I thought maybe they both killed each other. Their spirits were talking to me. And I'm looking up in the sky. I'm looking all around. I'm calling their names. And I can hear a voice. But I didn't know they had a camera. And they kept, Johnny. I'm like, wow, what the hell? Where are you at? I was talking because I didn't know they had a camera. I had no idea. Yeah, I was walking all over looking for them, looking in the windows to make sure, you know, I didn't want to walk in and find two people gone. It's unbelievable. Debbie thinks it's funny. It scared the crap out of me. I thought I died. Like, did I die or something? Because I hear people's voices, but I can't see them. I couldn't see them. I was doing work. And every once in a while, as I was raking up mulch and stuff, I'd hear Johnny. And it scared the crap out of me. Had no idea where it was coming from. I was looking all over the place. Thought they maybe fell in the yard or was in the yard or something. It was crazy. It was crazy. I came home and called my mom. I'm like, I don't know. They might be gone. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, deceased. I'm hearing voices. I'm walking around the yard and I keep hearing someone call my name. Sounds like Ernie. Sounds like somebody, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. No, they always play them jokes. Let's get back to this.
A pacemaker logs when its signal was lost. These systems are not witnesses. They cannot be pressured or persuaded. They do not have a version of events. They have data. And data, in a forensic context, does not bend to a narrative. The narrative must bend to the data. If the physical evidence and the digital data do not align with the abduction theory dissolves. Not dramatically. Quietly. Always works. There is a question that appears in every true crime comment section. Every forum. Every discussion thread about a case like this. Why haven't they arrested anyone yet? Let's be disciplined. Because where it traveled and when it stopped. A pacemaker logs when its signal was lost. These systems are not witnesses. They cannot be pressured or persuaded. They do not have a version of events. They have data. And data, in a forensic context, does not bend to a narrative. The narrative must bend to the data. If the physical evidence and the digital data do not align with the abduction theory dissolves. Not dramatically. Quietly. The way evidence always works.
All right, now I wanted to pause it here because if you look at her arm, it's like black and blue down here around her watch. But if you go up to her arm by her elbow, she's got a massive scar right here. Debbie, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that white scar that's coming down her arm? Let's see what Debbie says. Epiphone, you're not a geek. We're all geeks. We're all geeks. But it looks like she had an operation or something on her arm. And her arm looks black and blue. And she was on blood thinners, so that could be causing that black and bluish thing. Maybe she fell. Maybe some, we're all trying to figure out, well, why is older, what was that guy that came out and put that card on her window, Debbie, was for older, it was like a cop or something for older people. Yes, looks like some kind of surgery. Yeah, I think so. Maybe tendonitis or whatever they call that is. Maybe an elbow replace. I don't know. Do they do elbows? I'm not sure. But definitely looks like maybe she had something there. Maybe stitch it. Maybe she fell, ripped her arm open. She's got stitches or something. Epiphonium says elbow surgery. Yeah. 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 Maybe elder abuse. That's what it was. The card was for something about elder abuse. And somebody, and that, and we were all talking about that. Well, why would there be someone from the elder division police coming to, or what were they, investigators or whatever, to put a card on her front thing there? That was fishy. That was really fishy. All right, let's just keep going here. Look at this guy's face. Is this her husband or her brother? But this guy's face says a ton, right? He's just numb. He's cumbersome to this whole thing. He's just a dark stare. Just, I can't believe this. I don't know. All right, let's continue.
There is a question that appears in every true crime comment section, every forum, every discussion thread about a case like this. Why haven't they arrested anyone yet? Let's be disciplined. Because the answer is not incompetence. The answer is architecture. Prosecutors do not build arrests. They build cases. And a case that falls apart at trial is worse than no arrest at all. It is a permanent legal shield for the person who walked free. So what are investigators building? 3 things. First, documented pressure. They need financial records, loan request documentation, correspondence, text messages, anything that establishes, concretely, that a financial conflict exists.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I got three Nancy Guthries. Look, just, I don't know if these people can read, but they look like them. One's my mod. One lives right down on the other side here of the apartment thing. She walks around with a walker, has glasses. And yeah, well, what are they doing? I don't know. But if you guys need a lookalike for the movie, they look just like them. Maybe that's why the police are always showing up. Or I don't know. You know, they ain't gonna listen to me anyways, because every time I try and help, they say I'm the R word. You know, I don't know what I'm talking about. So something big is going on, or something big is getting ready to go on in America. Camera was down by time they removed Nancy. I don't know. There is no footage of that little lady at Annie's house or leaving her house or coming home. There's a vehicle. That's not good enough for my United States citizens to say, oh, well, she's home because there's a vehicle that pulled in the driveway. I don't care. Did you see her get out of that vehicle? Is there any footage of that little lady in her house, leaving her house before that or anything? Nope. There probably is, but they're not showing it. Now, I don't know if there is. There might not be. And if there is not, well, there's a problem. Right there. There's the problem. Yo, Kelt, how you doing? I haven't released the video. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That's true. There might be video of her in her house. There might be video of her getting out of her car and in the house. But a lot of talk is this never happened. Why? Because there's no evidence of it. There's no footage of it. Bunch of cars driving around, but cars don't solve cases. And it's not good enough for my United States citizens. Evidence, a body, an 84-year-old woman walking around the house, the yard that day, before all this and after, and we just ain't seeing it. I mean, they're just not giving it to us. Yeah, it's like Delphi. What's going on? I don't know. No, they're not going to tell us.
Existed between Annie and Nancy in the period before January 31st. Second, opportunity convergence. They need to place the right people in the right location at the right time. Exactly. The 9:50 p.m. undocumented ride is a node in that convergence. The 14-hour silence is a node. The camera going offline is a node.
And this guy just hit it right on the button. There is no evidence. There's no footage. You know, there's no, well, her thing went offline and everything. All right, well, that I can understand. But where is the footage of this little old lady walking out of that house and coming back home and then being abducted, and there's no footage of it? There's no footage of that lady leaving the home or returning. And people are like, I just can't believe it, John. Well, I can't either. But that ain't going to pass in court. Well, she was home. Well, how do you know? Well, here's this footage of a vehicle pulling in. And see, look at the brake lights. It stops. It's sitting there. Where's the lady? Well, we can't see them. But there's the vehicle. That's the vehicle that yeah, but where's the body? Where's the little 84-year-old woman that could not walk, that could not do, where is she in the footage? Kelt said, finally not paying security cameras monthly dues. They didn't have enough money to pay it. And that's crazy. All this money worth millions and everybody's, and the daughter worth millions and everybody can't, and they couldn't keep the camera. This ain't adding up, folks. And now the daughter had a power of attorney over her and everything. Just ain't adding up. Debbie or Kelt says, Johnny, I've seen the drop-off video. Did you see Nancy Guthrie getting out of the vehicle and being walked into the house? Kelt? Because all this time I haven't seen it. I mean, if it's out there, let me know. I'll look at it. But I mean, you can actually see Nancy Guthrie walking into the house. No. Have you seen it? I haven't. No, I haven't seen it. If I seen it, I would tell you. No, but no.
The pacemaker timestamp is a node. Convergence means the nodes align. Third, forensic linkage. This is where the vehicle matters. Annie Guthrie's Honda CR-V was placed on a 40-day forensic hold. 40 days. That is not a standard evidence hold. That is an extended, deliberate forensic examination. During those 40 days, analysts test the vehicle for soil composition, soil that can be matched to specific geographic locations. They pull telematics data, every GPS coordinate, every ignition event, every door open and close. They map where that vehicle was. And when. And then there's the 911 call. The call is sealed. Not released. Not public. That is intentional. In high-stakes investigations, a sealed 911 call preserves the prosecution's narrative. It prevents any person of interest from calibrating their story to match what was said.
Hold on a minute. I have no idea who these people are calling. I don't know. Leave a message. I'm busy right now. All right. Kelp, be safe. No, you're not chasing anyone away, Kelp, but if you got stuff to do, go ahead. All right, let's go.
It is a strategic decision, not an administrative one. Let's be clear. Police silence in a case like this is not stagnation. It is assembly. They are building layer by layer. Digital data. Financial data. Physical data. They are waiting for the evidence to converge. Let's come back to what we know. Structurally. Factually. We know there was an 84-year-old woman, Nancy Guthrie, living alone, with a $1 million estate and a daughter holding power of attorney. We know there are unconfirmed reports of a substantial loan request and a refusal. We know the last documented event on January 31st was an undocumented ride home, alone, at night. We know the 14-hour silence that followed. We know the camera went offline at 1:47 a.m. We know the pacemaker disconnected at 2:28 a.m. We know Annie's vehicle sat on a 40-day forensic hold. We know the 911 call remained sealed. And now, unconfirmed, emerging, we know that human remains may have been located. Each of these facts, taken alone, is incomplete. A motive without opportunity is a theory. An opportunity without forensic linkage is a coincidence. A timeline without physical evidence is a narrative. But when the facts begin to align, when the financial pressure matches the timeline, and the timeline matches the biological timestamp, and the biological timestamp matches the vehicle data, investigators call that pattern alignment. And pattern alignment is what transforms a theory into a charge. Annie Guthrie is legally presumed innocent. That is not a formality. That is the foundational principle of our justice system, and we hold it here without exception. But the evidence does not care about theories. It does not care about public opinion. It does not care about headlines. It assembles. Quietly. Methodically. Layer by layer. Until theory becomes charge or dissolves entirely. We will continue to follow this case with discipline. Subscribe if you haven't. Turn on notifications. Because when the next development breaks, you need to be here.
We are getting some breaking news in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
There are some puzzling new developments tonight in the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie.
Stop what you're doing. Because tonight, this case changes. If you are new here, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications. What I am about to walk you through is not speculation. It is a disciplined, structured analysis of publicly available facts. And those facts are beginning to converge.
This video we're watching is claiming that the body was found. Johnny, did you ask her about the drop-off video? Yeah, I did. Deb, she said, I thought she said that she's seen a video, a drop-off video or something. I don't know. And then she said she had to go. It was like too mysterious. Right? I have to go, Johnny. They're on to me. All right. Yeah. All right, Kel. Go on. Be safe. Don't dry up out there in Arizona. It's pretty dry out there. It's pretty crazy out there. And be safe, because I don't know what we're going to do with our ICBM missile defense system missiles that we're building out there in Arizona, because Biden released where it was. We might have to get rid of Arizona just to save our program. Then they called me and said, you know, there's dudes walking around in Arizona selling missile defense systems. What? We got to get rid of Arizona. You know, and then I got all these people coming down. You can't just get rid of a state. Who said? Trump's getting rid of everything. Who are these idiots walking around with our missile defense systems, selling them and trying to sell rockets? Is crazy. Debbie Fox said, I gave myself a headache coughing. Well, be safe, little lady.
Urge in a direction that cannot be ignored. For months, the central question in this investigation was simple. Where is Nancy Guthrie? That was the frame. That was how this case was discussed. Where is an 84-year-old woman? Where did she go? Who has her? Tonight, that question changes. Because emerging, and I want to be precise here, unconfirmed, reports now suggest that human remains have been located.
All right, see?
We do not yet know the identity. We do not.
See? The video is saying that a body has been located, but it has not been identified. Now, whether this is true or not, I have no idea. Like I told you on this channel, we don't believe everything. We just connect the dots, right? And when the dots connect, you go with it, you send it. And I don't know, you know, Debbie, I hope you're okay. Put some ice on your head and quit coughing. You're probably smoking one of them relaxing sticks, they call them today, I think, sleepy sticks. Be safe. All right, let's get going. We don't know anything really. I know on this channel we can't say there's a body that has been found. This is a new video.
Yet have official confirmation. And until we do, we treat it as exactly what it is, an unverified development in an active investigation. But let's be disciplined here. Because what investigators know, what forensic science teaches us, is this: the discovery of remains does not just answer where. It transforms the entire architecture of the investigation. It shifts the question from search to motive. And the moment motive becomes the central question, something else comes into sharp focus. Something that has been documented, reportedly, unconfirmed, in the background of this case for some time. A loan request. A substantial loan request. Made by Annie Guthrie, Nancy's daughter, to her 84-year-old mother. And according to unconfirmed reports, Nancy said no. Now, I need you to stay disciplined with me. This is unconfirmed. But in investigative work, in real investigative work, financial conflict between a victim and a person of interest is never dismissed. It is documented, examined, and tested against the physical evidence. And tonight, we are going to do exactly that. Stay with me. Let's talk about money. Not emotionally.
What if Nancy Guthrie? I'm just throwing this out there. We have the right to our opinions and theories. But what if Nancy Guthrie's? What if these kids weren't really Nancy Guthrie's? Do you remember what Savannah, or what's her name, Debbie? What's this lady's name that's a famous lady? You remember what she said? What did she say, Johnny? Well, she said that when she was younger, her uncle used to play what? Kidnapping games. Oh my God, Debbie, are you putting the dots together? I'm not sure, but what if these kids weren't even her real kids? Oh my God. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, Debbie don't even know. I'm giving her a headache. Probably giving her a headache or something. Now everybody's left. All right, let's continue with this.
Clinically, greed, in a prosecutorial framework, is not a character flaw. It is a theory. A theory built on documented financial pressure, documented financial opportunity, and a documented shift.
Debbie says, that's tomato. Go back, go back. All right, hold on a minute. Let me go back here a little bit.
Motive becomes the central question. Something else comes into sharp focus. Something
right,
that has
hold
been
on.
documented, reportedly, unconfirmed,
Tell me
in the
when to
background
stop.
of this case for some time. A loan request. A substantial loan request. Made by Annie Guthrie, Nancy's daughter, to her 84-year-old mother. And according to unconfirmed reports, Nancy said no. Now, I need you to stay disciplined with me. This is unconfirmed. But in investigative work, in real investigative work, financial conflict between a victim and a person of interest is never dismissed. It is documented, examined, and tested against the physical evidence. And tonight, we are going to do exactly that.
This right here, Debbie. This one. The three at the mom's house. You mean as they're walking? You mean Tommaso, Savannah, and Annie? All right, hold on a minute. Let me back up. Oh, wait, it might be forward here. Hold on. was that picture of you? Let's just
For
play it
months,
back a little
months,
bit.
the central question in this investigation was simple. Where is Nancy Guthrie? That was the frame. That was how this case was discussed. Where is an 84-year-old woman? Subscribe right now and turn on notifications. What I am about to walk you through is not speculation. It is a disciplined, structured analysis of publicly available facts. And those facts are beginning to converge.
Are you talking this photo or the photo with Tommaso? Debbie said stop and really look at that picture. It was the MMS house by the memorial. Okay, I know what you're talking about. With Tommaso. Okay. All right, hold on. Let's keep
in
going.
a direction that cannot be ignored.
Once I see it, I'll
For
stop
months,
back.
months, the central question in this investigation was simple. Where is Nancy Guthrie? That was the frame. That was how this case was discussed. Where is an 84-year-old woman? Where did she go? Who has her? Tonight, that question changes. Because emerging, and I want to be precise here, unconfirmed, reports now suggest that human remains have been located. We do not yet know the identity. We do not yet have official confirmation. And until we do, we treat it as exactly what it is, an unverified development in an active investigation. But let's be disciplined here. Because what investigators know, what forensic science teaches us, is this: the discovery of remains does not just answer where. It transforms the entire architecture of the investigation. It shifts the question from search to motive. And the moment motive becomes the central question, something else comes into sharp focus. Something that has been documented, reportedly, unconfirmed, in the background of this case for some time. A loan request. A substantial loan request. Made by Annie Guthrie, Nancy's daughter, to her 84-year-old mother. And according to unconfirmed reports, Nancy said no. Now, I need you to stay disciplined with me. This is unconfirmed. But in investigative work, in real investigative work, financial conflict between a victim and a person of interest is never dismissed. It is documented, examined, and tested against the physical evidence. And tonight, we are going to do exactly that. Stay with me. Let's talk about money. Not emotionally.
Baha. This is the one you're talking about. Is this the one, Deborah? Is this the one? I think that's Tomas. Is that Tomato Head? Yep, that's him. That's what she's saying, yes. What about it? What's creepy? Are them dandelions? They are dandelions or sunflowers. What's on a shirt? Books? Look at that body and porch guy. On who though? Tomas? Or are you talking about on one of the women? I'm not sure because it looks like Annie's got giant breasts, right? So wouldn't we be seeing them breast through the jacket and through the thing? Savannah? Yeah, but she's so tall. She's taller than Tommaso. She's very thin. I don't know. She's got very curvy, long, curvy waist, right? And what do us men notice? Well, we notice that hip, right? A woman's hip, very curvy. Now, don't you think we'd be looking at that guy going, this dude's either a woman or this dude's got a hot body? I don't know. She's very tall. Let me see what Debbie's saying. Why does Tommaso look so much taller than the other pictures? But this one, he's so small. Like, it's funny to me and weird. That's true. But they do say, Debbie, now I'm just going to let you know this. The photo that we've been seeing of Tomas, and he looks real tall, as you get older, you shrink. So, what do? Well, and plus, when you take a photo and you format it and download it to something, it'll change the height, the size, the width. So someone that's skinny might appear different. Look at his fist. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But Tommaso's pretty big up top. And he had that beard. But even with the goatee like he's got right now, I think we would have seen that coming out the bottom of the ski mask. Or we would have seen a big bulge there of hair. Let me see what Debbie's saying. He has the same body as Porch Guy. Well, maybe. Can we move on from this photo, Debbie, or do you want to continue talking about this photo? Let's move on. We can always come back to it.
Clinically, greed in a prosecutorial framework is not a character flaw. It is a theory. A theory built on documented financial pressure, documented financial opportunity, and a documented shift in control. Consider the structure here. Nancy Guthrie's home, her primary asset, is reportedly valued at approximately $1 million. It is a high-equity property. The kind of asset that sits at the center of an estate plan. The kind of asset that means something when a person is 84 years old and living alone.
All right, I stopped it here because I want you to look at Tommaso. Now, who can play Tommaso in the movie? Jackie. Jackie could play Tommaso to the T. My only thing is Tommaso's a little taller, and Jackie is shorter. But does he look like Jackie? Oh yeah. Yeah, Jackie can play. Jackie could play Tommaso to the T. To the T. Zoom in on his mouth. Well, I can't, Debbie, because it's a video. It's a video and it won't let me zoom in. I don't think it'll let me zoom in. Hold on a minute. I would have to change. Hold on a minute, Deborah. This woman is always she's like a slave. It's not working, Deb. It won't let me make it bigger. Debbie Fox says, I got to. I took a picture. How do you do that? Let me see if I could do that. Do I click on this and then go copy video URL, copy. How the heck do I do that? Loop, save video frame as copy video frame, picture in picture.
Now contrast that with what we know.
Hold on, let me see what Fox is saying. I screenshot it. I got it. I screenshot it. All right, we'll check it out here later. What is that? How you do it though, Deb? How I was just doing it on mine. Were you able to see the things that were popping up? All right. You know what? I don't know. But this is very fishy because Mrs. Nancy Guthrie looks like a couple people. Kind of looks like Savannah and Annie. But my thing is what clicked with me was when Savannah wrote that book or whatever it was and said that she used to play a game with her family called Kidnap. And her Uncle Terry used to come and take them from her mother's house without her mother knowing. And this whole thing, I'm like, wait a minute. Are these even Nancy's kids? If Savannah is talking about this as a child, these are the games that they played, and her Uncle Terry would come and pick them up and take them all the way on the other side of the, all the way back to Ohio without her mom knowing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did they get the kids switched? Right? Is that even the right Nancy Guthrie? This is crazy.
Reportedly about Annie's financial situation. A lower value property. A different financial position. A gap. And an investigative science. Gaps matter. Because when a daughter goes to her elderly mother, a mother with a $1 million estate, and asks for a substantial loan, and that mother refuses, something changes. Let's be disciplined. A refusal is not neutral. A refusal creates tension. It creates a new dynamic. Because the request itself reveals a need. And a need that is denied does not disappear. It intensifies. It compresses. It begins to accelerate decisions. Investigators call this financial desperation as a behavioral accelerant. And then, May 2025, something was formalized. Annie Guthrie obtained durable power of attorney over her mother. Now, power of attorney is a legal instrument. It is not inherently suspicious. Millions of families establish it responsibly. But in the context of a reported loan refusal, in the context of a missing, and now potentially deceased, elderly woman, prosecutors do not look at power of attorney in isolation. They look at timing. They look at what changed. And what it enabled. Let's walk the timeline. Not loosely. Forensically. January 31st. A dinner. Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, hard of hearing, no hearing aids that night, no alarm system, shares a meal with her daughter and son-in-law.
All right. Now, this guy is saying there was no alarm system there. Now, folks, on this channel, we have no idea if this stuff is true. We don't believe everything we hear or see because we've proven on this channel already that these people have access to some of the top-notch photo opping equipment and AI and CGI. So we don't take anything for being real at all. But if you're looking for three people that might look exactly like her to the T, I have them. I don't know if they can act. I don't know if they can read, but they sure do look like them. And who knows, maybe one of these lucky three might get the role. I don't know, but I'm sure Savannah's probably got already Jenna Bush picked out for it. But I don't think Jenna looks like she's got too big of cheeks. Definitely looks like Papa Bush. Debbie says, I don't understand. Her cameras weren't working, but then they were. Well, they weren't working, Deb. She didn't pay the bill, they're saying. Now, we have no idea if that's even true. But she didn't pay the bill. But They got lucky. And why I say that is because even though they didn't pay the bill and you couldn't see the video, it was still recording and in the serving system and in the data. So they were able to go back and pull that footage up that Mrs. Guthrie or whoever else was connected to that camera couldn't see. The government was able to go in and pull that footage out and see it. That's how we seen Porch Guy and all that. I am on a broken phone, sorry. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Like I said, these Mrs. Guthrie might have more children than she realizes. You know what I mean? Or at least than Annie and Savannah know about. Maybe Mrs. Guthrie and her husband were freaks and were just pumping out kids left and right. I don't know. But I can tell you this much. There's 3 or 4 of them that look like around. I don't know what's going on. Are they building a movie? Maybe. If you need someone to play Tommaso, you go to Jackie, right? The kid that was in Shutter Island, or the guy that was in Shutter Island. He was in the Bad News Bears. I mean, he's been in all kinds of movies now. But he's definitely Tommaso. I heard they say AI, why could they not look on Google Earth? Well, the only thing is Google Earth. I used to use Google Earth for satellite. And there used to be a real-time satellite that you can go to and punch in an address or a state, and you'd be able to watch real-time satellite of that area. But they stopped doing that, I think, because it's no longer, what do they call it, real-time satellite. So I couldn't use that no more, but you can still use Google to throw in an address, and it'll bring up that area. And you can see that address and everything, just not in real time. All right, let's keep going here.
It is, by all appearances, an ordinary evening. And then it ends. 9:50 p.m. Nancy is driven home. The driver, Tommaso, Annie's husband. The ride, undocumented. No confirmed rideshare record. No GPS log publicly released. An undocumented transport of a vulnerable, elderly woman alone at night. That is a structural fact. What follows is what investigators call a silence window. 14 hours. 14 hours in which there is no confirmed contact, no check-in, no...
Yeah, 14 hours. No contact, no check-in. 14 hours, that's a long time. That's a long time, I'll tell you that much. That's longer than the 8 hours in the Idaho 4 case, where they didn't call the police for 8 hours later. You know, this is 14 hours. This is double, or wait, close to double the time. So that's very interesting. You know, this might have been a big family, guys. You know, might have been a big family, and Mrs. Guthrie might have a lot of kids scattered all over the United States. We don't know. They might, you know, Mrs. Guthrie and Mr. Guthrie, they might have been freaks. We don't know. And what I mean is they couldn't keep their hands off of each other, right? They were just pumping out kids. You know, maybe. Debbie says, yes, that's a real long time. Yeah, 14 hours, Deb. Now, we don't know if that's true.
verified communication. For a woman who is 84, lives alone, and has no alarm system, 14 hours of silence is not ordinary. And then the timestamps begin. 1:47 a.m. The exterior camera at Nancy's home goes offline. And simultaneously, or near simultaneously, a masked figure is reported to appear. A staged presence.
Are you seeing the picture here now, Debbie? At a certain time at night, that camera goes offline because they say the bill wasn't paid. And then this guy comes walking up. That is fishy. It's almost like someone knew what was going on, that the bill wasn't paid, and at this time, how did they know at that time that the whole system was going to shut down? They weren't able to. Very fishy. All right, Debbie's saying this is Tomas, right? That's what Debbie's saying. Deb, is that what you're saying, Tommaso? This is Tommaso and his hands and everything. Tommaso is porch guy. I stopped playing that bill without Mom knowing, or stopped paying the bill without Mom knowing. Yeah, they knew at this time the camera was going to go down. Someone had to know.
A deliberate visual event at the precise moment the digital record is interrupted. That is not coincidence. In investigative work, coincidence is the last hypothesis, not the first.
All the paper. Well, that's
2:28 a.m.
Power of attorney.
Nancy's pacemaker disconnects. Let's be disciplined here, because a pacemaker is not just a medical device. In this investigation, it functions as what forensic analysts call a biological timestamp. It logs. It records. It does not lie. It does not misremember, and it cannot be coached. At 2:28 a.m., Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker stopped receiving a signal. That is a structural fact. Now combine that with what we know about her physical state that night. No hearing aids. No alarm. A woman who, if she called out,
no hearing aids. This was easy. If this went down the way they're saying, she didn't even know there was someone in the house. Why? She couldn't hear it. Right? Even if there was an alarm system, she might not have been able to hear it if she didn't have her hearing aids in. And let me tell you something. There's a lady that lives across the hall down here, and she has hearing aids. If she don't have them hearing aids in, she can't hear nothing. And sometimes she pulls the emergency string because it's on a light switch, and sometimes she gets it mixed up with the light switch to turn the lights on, and the emergency light goes off in the hallway, and you can hear the whole thing. She can't hear it. That thing will go on for hours, and she can't hear it. The authorities showed up here because we called, and I told them, I said, she don't have her hearing aids in. She's probably okay, but she can't hear you. But you're going to have to go in just to check to make sure. And they had to go in, and they broke down the door, busted the door, and went in. And she was fine, but she didn't have her hearing aid in, and she couldn't hear. Well, I mean, it happens all the time, but she can't hear. Well, now why they didn't call the management to have them come open up the door, I don't know. I told them that. You're going to have to call management. They have a key. The guy will come over here and unlock the door. But they decided they wanted to use their battle axe. And they snapped the door. Someone did. I don't know. I was sleeping through it. But. All right, let me see. Yep, she knew the payment stopped. Maybe.
may not have been heard, and may not have heard someone approaching. The vulnerability was total. Now let's deconstruct the narrative that was initially offered. A kidnapping. A stranger abduction of an 84-year-old woman. If you approach this emotionally, it is a terrifying possibility. But if you approach it analytically, if you ask the discipline question, it collapses. Here is the discipline question. If this was about money, why stage an abduction? The answer, the investigative answer, is misdirection. Misdirection buys time. It redirects law enforcement. It creates a public search. It transforms potential suspects into grieving family members publicly calling for help. But misdirection has a critical weakness. It requires a clean digital environment. And in 2024, in a world of routers that log device proximity, vehicles that record ignition cycles and GPS coordinates, and medical devices that timestamp biological events.
This guy's a bear. This must be the brother that was in the military, because this guy's a bear. I mean, Savannah's really tall. She's a very tall lady, got very long legs. But look at the brother. This guy is probably military, ex-military or something. This guy's a bear. If this dude was there, and that whoever that masked dude showed up there, this dude probably would have took him out in a heartbeat. All right, let me see what's going on. Debbie Fox post. I don't think Savannah knew about a lot of the stuff that went on there with her mom's bills, because she thought her sister was probably taking care of everything since she was so close. Yeah, she was only a couple miles away. Yo, Walsh, how you doing? Her brother blames Savannah, or her brother blames Savannah. I don't know. Why would Savannah, Savannah's working. She's like the money maker, right? She's like the one bringing in all the big dough and everything, supporting the whole family, right? So she's like busy all the time, right? You would think. Debbie Fox says he is military. Yeah, you could tell. You look at him, you could tell a jarhead. If you were raised by a jarhead, you could pretty much tell a jarhead. Yeah, he looks like he's a bear, right? If someone would have showed up there and he would have been there, it probably would have been a different story. But we don't know, For Swaga, her areas. M&M's areas? I'm not sure. Yeah, I got some M&M's, but I don't know. Big military, she says. Yeah. Well, Walsh is going to take a drink every time I say, I don't know. Well, let me just tell you, on this channel, we don't know if any of this is true or if it's a movie. But if it's a movie in the works, well, then I'm going to have to call and use my power of attorney it's a power of authority. My power of authority, and I'm going to have to bring Jackie in to play Tommaso. And I might have one of these little ladies out here that might be able to play Nancy Guthrie. Heck, one of my mods might be able. She looks just like, she might be one of Nancy's kids. Well, come on, Debbie. Savannah's talking about when we were kids. We used to play this game. We loved it. It was called kidnapping. What? We played it. You played it, right? No, I don't remember when I was a kid ever anybody saying, come on, guys, we're going to play kidnapping. That's crazy. What's going on? I don't know. Did someone kidnap one of Nancy's other kids? I don't. Geez, his phone sucks. We never played that. No, I never played kidnapping when I was younger, Debbie. Come on, kids, gather around. Hey, what's going on? We're going to play a game. It's called kidnapping. No, don't call your parents. Don't call your parents. Wait till we're at home. And then they call me, hey, Ma, No, we're playing kidnapping. What? Debbie said they played doctor a lot. No, didn't spin the bottle or whatever. That was the thing when we were old enough. You know, spin the bottle and all that stuff. Doctor and everything. Well, you're kids. You don't know. You don't know. You know, you don't know. You're a kid. How bad was it when we were kids playing doctor or anything like that? I've seen a kid get a garden hose shoved up his butt and they turned it on. I don't know. You know, that's what we did. That's what it was. You know, we're playing doctor. What's wrong with you? Let's shove this hose up your butt and turn the washer, the faucet on. You just sit there. You just sit there and wait for the works. All right. And that's what they do if the kid's not supervised. Then, yeah, shit will get crazy. Oh, who knows? I've seen a bicycle pump. Yeah, but they do all kinds of stuff. Hey, can you shove this in your face? No, shove this up your nose and I'm going to pump on it. Ain't that a tire pump? Yeah. But just shove it up your nose. There you go. There you go. Get it up in there. There you go. Now hold on. Now, these are stupid games that kids play. That's just what they do. Well, can you eat the whole handful of bugs? No. I dare you to eat your booger. Yeah, you got boogers eaten. You got bugs being eaten. You know, where I came from in Chicago, you know, we were eating lead paint chips. When I was a kid, I loved to chew on brand new tires. Rubber. My family was like, wow, you part dog? I'm like, no, I just love the taste of it. It was a brand new tire. And I'd chew on it. Yeah. Yeah, my family caught me eating dog biscuits one year when I was a kid. Sitting next to my grandpa's German Shepherd. Both of us were eating dog biscuits. That's what kids do. Don't laugh, Debbie. I love the smell of brand new tire rubber. And I used to chew on it when I was a kid. I don't know. It was great. People say, that's what's wrong with you, kid. You got paint chip problems. Probably. That's everything they painted Chicago with when I was growing up was lead. What are you chewing on, kid? I don't know, a white piece of paint or whatever that is on the windowsill over there. That's lead paint, kid. It's going to kill you. I didn't know. We don't know. We're kids. I don't know. I don't want to tell these people. What's wrong with your country? We ate paint chips when we were kids. Why? Well, because that's the only thing our government gave us, our society or whatever gave us to paint our stuff was lead paint. All right, let's get back to this video. I don't want to get all out of here.
There is no clean digital environment.
Today.
The digital ecosystem does not cooperate with misdirection. A router inside Nancy's home logs which devices were near it and when. A vehicle's onboard computer logs when the engine started, where it traveled, and when it's...
You see this lady right here. Now, I ain't going to lie to you.
Critical weakness. It requires a clean digital environment. And in 2024, in a world of routers that log device proximity, vehicles that record ignition cycles and GPS coordinates, and medical devices that timestamp biological events, there is no clean digital environment. The digital ecosystem does not cooperate with misdirection. A router inside Nancy's home logs which devices were near it and when. A vehicle's onboard computer logs when the engine started, where it traveled, and when it stopped.
Oh, dang it.
A pacemaker logs when its signal was lost. A vehicle's on...
All right, I'm going to tell you right now. You see this lady right here in the glasses and everything, the hair all done like that? This lady lives 5 houses or 5... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 6 doors down. I ain't shitting you. I think her name's Shemaine. Looks just like this lady right here. I ain't joking you. People are going nuts around here. They're asking me, Johnny, what's going on? I'm like, I have no idea. All I know, they're kidnapped somebody. I don't know. Let's see what's going on here. Did you try the blue ones? The blue what? No, I didn't do it back then. We didn't. Back then, our parents painted our. Everyone painted their windowsills or whatever, the windows frames white, and 9 out of 10 times it was white lead paint that we were chewing on. And then one day we came home and the government was on the TV saying, "We got a problem." Right? My parents were like, "What's the problem?" They're like, "You know that paint that this country's been selling everybody? Yeah, it's lead. So what's going to happen? Your kid's going to grow up to be dumb if he's been chewing on them. I can guarantee you that. Well, half of the country's dumber than a doornail. And they're trying to ask us what happened. Well, I was born in Chicago, 1968. February. This is the 3rd of February. It was a cold December. That's the day that my daddy died. He was a Papa was a rolling stone. Oh. But that's how it was. We didn't paint our stuff white or blue. We painted it white. Debbie liked the blue chips. They were probably a little bit better than the white. I always thought white was just plain, right? You get into the different color paints and the flavors change. I don't know, but every once in a while, my face droops to the one side and my one testicle drops a little bit lower. But the doctors say that's side effects from the lead paint. All right, crunchy yet satisfying. Yeah, they were. All right, let's get going here.
Board computer logs when the engine started, where it traveled, and when it stopped. A pacemaker logs when its signal was lost. These systems are not witnesses. They cannot be pressured or persuaded. They do not have a version of events. They have data. And data, in a forensic context, does not bend to a narrative. The narrative must bend to the data. If the physical evidence and the digital data do not align with the abduction theory dissolves. Not dramatically. Quietly. The way evidence always works. There is a question that appears in every true crime comment section. Every forum. Every discussion thread about a case like this. Why haven't they arrested anyone yet? Let's be disciplined. Because the answer is not incompetence. The answer is architecture. Prosecutors do not build arrests. They build cases.
You know, they keep saying, well, nobody's been arrested yet. But if you've been following the case, they have been questioning and picking people up. So, you know, just because they're saying, well, there hasn't been an arrest, they did make an arrest. That one guy, the Hispanic dude, right? The one guy that when he closed his eyes, there was like a nail mark in the corner of his eye. Carlos. You know, which we covered him on this case. Meaning we showed his photo, blew his face up, went through the whole Shapil Shamil Incorporated and Norporated. My mother needs to get her ultra money back she spent on me. I didn't learn shit in Catholic school. Oh, you're a Catholic? Boy, they're coming out of the woodworks. I must have pissed the Catholics off or something. All right, hold on a minute. I got to find my lighter. Where were we? Catholic school are rough. Come out, Virginia. Don't be. I always think of Billy Joe when I hear Catholics. Stupid microphone is falling off the stand. Hold on a minute, folks. No, I just cursed like that. Somebody just got too close to the solving the case again. They don't like me, this government. They keep saying, "Oh, you want to work for us?" No. Well, I don't want to agree. You tortured me my whole life. You blame me for everything underneath the sun around here. Hey, hold on, folks. I'm trying to screw this thing. No, I don't know. Hopefully that works. I don't know. Stupid microphone. All right. You know, it's not a stupid microphone. Why am I so... I don't know. I haven't smoked that much. Yesterday, I didn't have too many cigarettes at all yesterday. And I had a couple today, but that's about it. And that's probably what it is. I'm probably low on nicotine. And I wish I could quit. You know, when you smoke for so long and then you realize when you're coughing up stuff and everything, what do? You think back of when you were a kid or a teenager. You know, I was in track. You could just run forever. You'd run so much you'd have to stop, right? Because you just couldn't catch your breath anymore. And it was just so clean and so clear and so great to run and breathe in. You know, you run for miles, but then, you know, it would only take a couple minutes for you to catch your breath and come down from it. You know, now, you know, I'm out of breath just taking a crap. So it's just, God, I love things I wish I'd known then. You know, I don't know. I don't follow my religion, though. I'm a true rebel. You sure are. You've been kicking butt everywhere, probably. Even mine. Who knows? All right, let's get back to this.
And a case that falls apart at trial is worse than no arrest at all. It is a permanent legal shield for the person who walked free. So what are investigators building? 3 things.
You
First,
went to Mark
documented pressure. They need financial records, loan request documentation, correspondence, text messages, anything that establishes concretely that a financial conflict existed between Annie and Nancy in the period January 31st. They need financial records, loan request documentation, correspondence, text message.
Now, this kind of looks like the lady I cut grass for. This is great. What did they do? This is crazy. This is crazy. I don't know. This is freaky, Lord. I can't do it. I cannot do it. This is crazy. I don't know where these people are coming from.
Anything that establishes concretely that a financial conflict existed between Annie and Nancy in the period before January 31st. Second, opportunity convergence. They need to place the right people in the right location at the right time. The 9:50 p.m. undocumented ride is a node in that convergence. The 14-hour silence is a node. The camera going offline is a node. The pacemaker timestamp is a node. Convergence means the nodes align. Third, forensic linkage. This is where the vehicle matters. Annie Guthries' Honda CR-V was placed on a 40-day forensic hold. 40 days. That is not a standard evidence hold. That is an extended, deliberate forensic examination. During those 40 days, analysts test the vehicle for soil composition, soil that can be matched to specific geographic locations. They pull telematics data, every GPS coordinate, every ignition event, every door open and close. They map where that vehicle was and when.
Well, who are them?
And then there's the 911 call. The call is sealed, not released. not public. That is intentional.
They sealed it. Come on, Virginia, show me a smile. Ain't too pretty, ain't too proud. Not to brag, but I won the state wrestling high school. What year? 1989. Oh, I wasn't in high school then. I graduated. Well, I didn't graduate, but I was supposed to graduate in 86. But I was short credits. But back then, there was a thing called hard labor. And people were out of work. Family was out of work. So I went to work at a young age. I worked even when I was out of school and not wrestling off season or going to a tournament or something like that. Walsh wrestled for 1989, Mount Carmel High School. That's out in Illinois. I do believe that's out in Chicago. Walsh, is that out in Chicago? I went to Victor J. Andrew. Yeah, Victor J. Andrew High School. That was out in the middle of a cornfield, out there at Tinley Park, or out there by World Theater. Yeah, I wrestled for the Lightning Bolts. And I went to Grissom Junior High School, where I played basketball and ran track and stuff like that. Near Story Island. Sure, 64th and Dayton. Oh, hey, did you just see something happening on 159th and Ridgeland out there? Somebody was riding their bicycle and somebody ran them over. An 18-year-old kid got ran over. It was just on my Facebook feed today. They're looking for somebody that ran them down. 159. That was out where I used to live. 159th and Ridgeland is out there by Orland Park, Mokina. That's heading towards Joliet, the prison. Out there in Chicago, Joliet prison. All right, let's keep going here. You love running, but your knees are effed up. Yeah, I know. I love running, but my lungs are kind of messed up. I mean, I can run for a little bit, but then I got to take a break. You know, I didn't smoke yesterday too much at all. Today, no, didn't see it. Orland Park Pioneers. We used to have in Orland Park there, in the subdivision that I lived in, West Haven, not Craven. West Haven is where I lived. And then Orland Park Pioneers, that was a while ago. Are they still calling them that? We used to play football down there on the field for Orland Park. And the sheriff, Big Tim, big Tim. I forget his last name, but he was the sheriff out there. But he was also a football coach for Papa football or whatever it was called or whatever. I don't know. We played up. All right, let's keep going with this video. Get done. This is a very
In high-stakes investigations, a sealed 911 call preserves the prosecution's narrative. It prevents any person of interest from calibrating their story to match what was said. It is a strategic decision, not an administrative one.
I think they just keep playing it over and over again, Debbie, the same stuff. That's what I think. I mean, Savannah Guthrie is a beautiful lady, very tall, very slim, slender. Mrs. Nancy Guthrie, or some, she might have a lot of kids. Maybe that's why all these people look like her or something, or maybe family or cousins or something. I don't know. Why? I don't know. Movie, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Debbie, do you want to keep watching this? But I think they just keep showing the same stuff over and over again.
Clear. Police silence in a case like this is not stagnation. It is assembly. They are building layer by layer. Digital data. Forensic data. Financial data. Physical data. They are waiting for the evidence to converge. Let's come back to what we know. Structurally. Factually. We know there was an 84-year-old woman, Nancy Guthrie, living alone, with a $1 million estate and a daughter holding power of attorney. We know there are unconfirmed reports of a substantial loan request and a refusal. We know the last documented event on January 31st was an undocumented ride home alone at night.
With him and wrestled.
We know the 14-hour silence that followed.
Andrew High School.
We know the camera went offline at 1:47 a.m. We know the pacemaker.
Yeah, Joey's, I know Joey. Little Joey Gilbert. Kid's about 5 foot, if that, but was a powerhouse. At least when I went to school with him. He was a small dude, very brave, and would go toe-to-toe with you on the football field. And a great wrestler. Yeah, I wrestled with him in high school. Little Joey Gilbert. He's even on YouTube. Look him up. Kid's well, he's not a kid no more. None of us are. I always look at him as a kid though, but because we were kids when we wrestled. We were buddies. I think he was a year younger than me, or a year. I think he was a year, like a junior or a sophomore or freshman. Oh no, I think he was a freshman. I was a sophomore, I think. But he wrestled varsity. He wrestled above freshman. We seen, the coach seen the kid wrestle, and they were like, "We're bringing you from freshman up to here," and he wrestled with the rest of us. I'm not I wasn't the greatest wrestler. I won matches, lost matches too. I think he's 3 years younger than you. Yeah, he's younger, but they moved him up. He went to Andrew High School. I wrestled with him. I know him. I'm not joking. I played football with that kid. And that little dude was fearless. I'm not joking you. He would put his head down and come through the line, and you would literally hear them helmets cracking. I'm not joking with you, man. That little dude was a badass motherfucker in high school. Sport-wise, football and wrestling, the kid was on fire.
Disconnected at 2:28 a.m. We know Annie's vehicle sat on a 40-day forensic hold. We know the 911 call remained sealed. And now, unconfirmed, emerging, we know that human remains may have been located. Each of these facts, taken alone, is incomplete. A motive without opportunity is a theory. An opportunity without forensic linkage is a coincidence. A timeline without physical evidence is a narrative. But when the facts begin to align, when the financial pressure matches the timeline, and the timeline matches the biological timestamp, and the biological timestamp matches the vehicle data, investigators call that pattern alignment. And pattern alignment is what transforms a theory into a charge. Annie Guthrie is legally presumed innocent.
All right, hold on.
That is not a formality.
Here is the video that Debbie's talking about that she says is freaky. Yeah, I also, Walsh, I went to school with some other kids, some other dudes that were just as good as Joey. I ain't Joey, the Gaynor brothers. Well, Breitbart. Both the Breitbart brothers were wrestling tournament people. No joke. Who else wrestled that was pretty good? We had the Gaynor brothers. We had the Breitbart brothers. Joey Gilbert. Stewart. Johnny Stewart. Me. There was a whole bunch of dudes. Bill Conley. And I'll tell you what, on our off season, some of us would jump in a vehicle with a parent and take off and go on these off season tournaments. Who else was wrestling back then? Was Bahaviolis wrestling? John Bahaviolis, he was a basketball. Yeah. Randy Adler, which Randy Adler now is the NRH National Dragster Champion. Joey Gilbert's a champion and all kinds of shit. He medaled in everything. Stewart was a medalist, a ribbon winner. When we went on off seasons, I won a couple ribbons wrestling. McGowan, McGowan was on the team. Oh, McGinley was on the wrestling. The McGinley brothers, right? The infamous McGinley brothers. They were on the wrestling team. It was a good effing team. Well, when we were cutting weight back then in high school, they gave us these rubber suits. And we'd put these rubber suits on and run around the high school and just cut massive amounts of weight within minutes. It was just unreal. They were like rubber, like a canvas. We'd throw that on and run around, try and make weight.
That is the foundational principle of our justice system, and we hold it here without exception. But the evidence does not care about theories. It does not care about public opinion. It does not care about headlines. It assembles, quietly, methodically, layer by layer, until theory becomes charge or dissolves entirely.
We had to wrestle against him.
We will continue.
I think we had to wrestle against Mike. From Joliet Catholic. I think, did we wrestle Joliet? I think we did wrestle Joliet in one of a state. I think it was a state tournament on season where we went as a high school, because we jump on a bus in high school and go to these places. I think so. Mike. I think maybe. I think we might have wrestled him. I also wrestled. Is he African American? I know there was one of them wrestlers from Joliet. That was pretty dang good. Debbie, I think this video is just replaying itself over and over.
To follow this case with discipline. Subscribe if you haven't. Turn on notifications. Because when the next development breaks, you need to be here.
We are getting some breaking news in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthries.
Did he wrestle or play football? We might have played football against Joliet. We might have. Was Joliet even? I can't remember if Joliet was even in our bracket. I'm not sure. I would have to look at old bracket. I wonder if they still have my name up on the high school wall up there in Andrew. I wonder. I loved high school. I went to school with some cool dudes. I mean, I had a problem. That's why I was in the slower classes, but I still wrestled and stuff and played football and basketball, track and all that. Are you on Facebook, Johnny? Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Debbie. I talk to you all the time on Facebook. Or someone's talking to you on Facebook. Why? No. Yeah, but you can't. No, I'm on YouTube right now. The video I'm showing is on YouTube. You can message me if you need to. Oh, go ahead. You can ask me. I'm not on
There are
Facebook.
some puzzling new developments tonight in the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie.
Stop what you're doing. Because tonight, this case changes. If you are new here, hit subscribe right now and
This
turn
is
on
just
notifications.
playing over and over.
What I am about to walk you through is not speculation. It is a disciplined, structured analysis of publicly available facts. And those facts are beginning to converge in a direction that cannot be ignored. For months, the central question in this investigation was simple: where is Nancy Guthrie? That was the frame. That was how.
I don't know. Hold on a minute. I was going to ask you something. All right, hold on a minute. Silly woman. I'll answer that later. Hold on a minute. Where was I? All right.
How this case was discussed. Where is an 84-year-old woman? Where did she go?
Wait a minute. Back up. Back up.
Analysis of publicly available facts.
All right, this is her house.
And those facts are beginning to converge in a direction that cannot be ignored. For months, the central question in this investigation was simple: where is Nancy Guthrie? That was the frame. That was how this case was discussed. Where is an 84-year-old woman?
Where's this picture taken? I see a mountain in the back and a bunch of wagons for like the Wild Wild West. But this is a big mountain here or something. And she's standing here by a fence. I see horse. I see some kind of a trailer back here. This is some kind of a campground or something. This is somewhere around here where you can go camping. Or somewhere. It's like the OK Corral or something like that. Yeah, Debbie, I'll ask that question later. Wagon wheel. I wonder where that's at. We got a place like that. Like what you're seeing out here right now. They call it I don't know. They have all the hippies out there and they have a big hippie show. And crafts. They sell crafts out. Buck Lake. We got a place like this out here in Indiana. It's called Buck Lake. And it is a place that they kept because Elvis Presley played there. On the stage back in 1950 something, 40 something, 50 something, 19 something, 50. But Elvis Presley played there. All right. On the stage was made out of old trees and stuff like that. And the chicken circuit used to come through there where they used to have gospel there. They used to have all kinds of stuff there, all kinds of bands playing. It was like an outdoor pavilion. And it's called Buck Lake Ranch. You could look it up today. in Indiana, Angola, I think it is, or Fremont, called Buck Lake Ranch. And I used to deliver stuff there when I was a delivery guy for a furniture place, because they had like a lodges and all kinds of stuff there. And the owner of it's like, I hear you play guitar and sing and stuff. I was like, yeah, a little bit here and there. And he's like, I want to show you something. And come on. And we went for a walk. And, you come through these trees and everything. And then there's a giant clearing. And there's like this building there that's like an old shack barn or whatever. But when you walk around to the front of it, it's a stage. And he brought me up there and everything. And he's like, check this out. And I'm like, what's going on? What are you showing me? A stage? And he's like, he goes, you see this picture? Well, it was a picture of Elvis Presley hanging on the wall on the back of the stage. And it was a photo of Elvis Presley on a stage singing, with a star on the ground, on the stage floor. And he's like, check this photo out. And I'm like, oh, that's Elvis Presley. He's like, yeah, he played right on this stage. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you see that star? I'm like, yeah. He goes, turn around. And that star was right there on the stage. It's right there. He goes, it played right here. Here's the photo from it. And he said, look at the building. And I looked at the stage and the building and everything. I was like, oh, this is where he played. So they kept that stage and didn't tear it down. And it's still there today, I think. Numerous people played there. I think he said Roy Clark, a bunch of dudes used to play there back in the 40s or 50s or whatever. Yeah, Elvis Presley stood right on the stage where Pa did. Well, he's everybody's Pa. All right, let's continue. Debbie, I think this video is
Where did she go?
4
Who has her?
hours of the same thing.
Tonight, that question changes. Because emerging, and I want to be precise here, unconfirmed, reports now suggest that human remains have been located. We do not yet know the identity.
All right, now this goes through again saying that there has been a body found, but they cannot identify it. So whose body? Is it hers? Someone that looks like her? I don't know. We don't know if it's true on this channel. We've always said that. I know people think just because we report on it or say something that we believe everything we hear. We don't. We just make sure we check it out, connect the dots. If they connect, they connect. If not, oh well, it's always best to cover your butt and check and make sure. Now, what have I done? I send people on a wild goose chase. I just say whatever they want to hear. Sometimes a bunch of crap lies, just to get a reaction out of these people, to see what they're going to do or whatever, Do I mean anything? No. No, it's just a bunch of bull crap I'm throwing out. Why? Because everybody's up my butt watching every move I make. Every word I say, they scalpel me. Everything I do. It's like they hold it against you or whatever. So do I send people on a wild goose chase sometimes? Yeah. Do I joke, lie, whatever, joke with them, fib to get see what's going to happen? Sometimes. But the pressure I've been under lately, with all this crap and all this Ernie Shell crap and all these other things that are going on in that crime case over there, I don't know. They'll drive you nuts. Yeah, it's just playing over and over again. It's looping. Yeah, that's what I think, Deb. I think we've seen pretty much all of it. But anyways, they just put this out saying that there was a body found. Now, we don't know if that's true. We don't know. Debbie, have you seen anything else? I haven't. But they just put this video up. Is he coming back in 3 weeks? I think, or I don't know. He's been in prison. Some people said he got beat up in prison. Uh, you know, if he did, well, it's over with. You took your lickings, get out of there and start your life over and leave all these women alone and start your life over and yada, yada, yada. All right, Dev, I think we're going to end this because we're at 2 hours right now. And I'm nobody. I'm just a reporter. I'm just a crazy reporter. How's that? So tell you that much. All right, I'll tell you that. I'm just a crazy reporter. That's about it. I mean nobody harm. We don't go looking for trouble on this channel. We just cover our own butts. And other people's butts if they get themselves in a ringer or whatever. We have no idea if any of it's true. We moved on. That's what we got to do is move on, and it's over with. It's done. And now everyone make friends again, and let's get back to living our lives. Deb, is there anything you want to say? Walsh, is there anything you want to say? I love your new record that came out, the stuff you're working on. You sound great. Keep playing guitar, Mr. Walsh. Jonathan Brandmeier's great songs. We're all crazy in Chicago. Yeah. Yeah, Brandmeier. Them, for you folks that don't live in Chicago, them are radio guys. Them are guys we listened to on the way to work, while we were at work, on the way to home from work. All right, I want all you folks to have a great night. Debbie, is there anything else you need to know or want to say? All right, I think we're going to end this. God bless everybody. Walsh, you be safe if you still live out there in Chicagoland. God bless Chicago, Portillo's. I just watched some dude do a food review on Portillo's yesterday. And the guy said he's never been there before and he bought all the good stuff. Boy, that dude, by the time he was done with Portillo's, that guy was like, this is the greatest place ever. That's Portillo's in Chicago. Get yourself a beef sandwich. Tell them Johnny K sent you. Now, you folks have a great day. God bless you all. We're all in pain. We're all under a curse, a spell, whatever. Who knows? Hunker down, do what you can. We'll be back later. God bless.